Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with California-based electric mandolinist Michael Lampert. We talked to him in early January 2021 about his latest 2020 CD, Panoply. He is the recipient of some prestigious awards, and he has a great veteran tale to tell. Get to know him and enjoy.
Thanks for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz today. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for calling.
I really did enjoy your new album, and I wanted to kind of talk to you about the mandolin and kind of the way this instrument works in the jazz setting. It's very unique. Talk to me a little bit about, first of all, this album coming out during a year of a pandemic.
It's been a weird year. I'd intended to actually release it a few years ago, but stuff came up in my life that made it impossible to do so. I was finally ready and mixed and, able to do it, and I, painted the cover and everything. And then there was a pandemic, so it's made it impossible to do any performing, but, I wanted to share some music. I thought maybe people might have a little extra time to listen to it. A lot of people have I've noticed a lot of people have released music during this year, and some really great music as well. So hopefully this added a little something.
Talk to me a little bit about the artistic approach. Kind of what do you want the listener to get from this album?
I always want people to get some kind of enjoyment and insight from, my music. That's what I want to get from music too. People express love and light and, something beautiful or something unique in the world. And, I want to do that too. It's, I think jazz musicians are not that different from birds singing or, sounds in nature where we just, want to put our sound out in the world so people can, hear what we're trying to say and express.
So let's go back to your beginnings of music. Where were you born and raised, and kind of how did music become your life?
I'm born in New Jersey. Well, I was born in Brooklyn. I was raised in New Jersey, and I always loved music. My older brother, Chuck, was very into music and used to play a lot of jazz records. I heard, Monk and Mingus and Coltrane when I was probably in, third and fourth grade. Something I heard my father also exposed me to all kinds of music and bought me my first jazz record. And, it was definitely in our family. People really love music, opera, mostly Mozart Festival in New York. And, then I started to take violin lessons in our public school. They had people come in and show us different instruments, and I kind of liked the violin. And I took violin lessons, and I also took saxophone for a year as well. And I listened to a lot of rock as well. I listened to, Cream, and, I was sort of I listened to music at a very, very young age, that might have been different from, other kids. And so I heard, the Beatles, when I was 7 years old. And, my dad had a Ravi Shankar record with Yehudi Menu, and I used to listen to and stuff. But around the time I was in seventh grade, I had a dream about, what if there was an instrument that was like a violin tuning, but sort of like a guitar? And I went to the local music store in Closter, New Jersey, and it was a new store, and I went in there and asked the guy, what about this kind of instrument? And he said, oh, yeah, there is one. It's called the mandolin. So I started taking lessons. So that was when I was about 13, I think. And I continued playing the violin as well. In high school, I played in string quartet in the orchestra. And then I had some arm problems when I went into college, and I started to play the mandolin more. It was a little easier. I took lessons. I took lessons from the first guy, Ben Bucola, in New Jersey. And then I was fortunate enough to hear Andy Statman on the radio. I don't know, are you familiar with his playing, or do you know who he is?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so he's a preeminent genius on the instrument. And so I was able to get credit. I went to college at Drew University in New Jersey. I ended up in music theory and music history and theory. And so I would take the the train to the subway, to the other subway, and then walk and stuff and go see Andy Statman. And he, he's an unbelievably great player, and he was very inspiring to me. But I still kind of wanted to play. I'd sort of hand things and stuff. I wanted to play an electric instrument because I love electric guitar and electric, just the feeling of it and the sound of it and stuff. So after studying with him and after college, I bought an electric mandolin in New York City. I took a loan out. My dad co-signed a loan, and I bought an amplifier and an electric mandolin, and I pretty much played that since.
Why do you love jazz?
I think I grew up with it, so it was just sort of normal music for me. When I think of jazz, I think of music. Although I certainly love anything where people are, jamming and, playing solos and stuff. But I love the freedom in it. I love the expression of it, and I love how people could take common objects. I don't mean common in that sense, but objects, musical objects that are common to a bunch of different artists and interpret them. It's like in painting, many people paint still lifes of, nature, and the outcome is so different due to people's, their eye and their use of materials, be they musical or visual, and there's so much freedom in it, I think. I love that.
We do get to a point where COVID slows down and we all get back to, the audience and you're back on stage. What do you hope we realize about this absence of live music?
Well, I've missed it terribly, I have to tell you. The last thing that I saw, I was back visiting my mother and family back in New Jersey, and I went to Rockland, Nyack in New York City, and I had a chance to see Alan Broadbent from about 1 foot away. We sat literally practically on the piano, and we were talking to him the whole time. And that's the interaction, and seeing people play right in front of you. It's so exciting, particularly a guy like Alan Broadbent. Before that, we'd seen Bill Charlotte. And, when I play, which is, not super frequently, I like to play in small places and to have, contact and feedback and the look on people's faces. And, there's an exchange of energy, I think, between performers and people who are at a performance, and it becomes different than recording. It's kind of more exciting, and for me, it's kind of a lot of energy that I have to process from it. I feel the energy, and I have to kind of direct it into the music.
What are your thoughts on getting back to live music? We have a new year. Nothing's going to change automatically, but what are your feelings on when you may even get to a point where you perform live and things start kind of awakening?
It's going to be by the end of the year. It's going to take a long time. And what I'd wanted to do previously and do some public playing in parks and public spaces here. I live in the San Fernando Valley. That's the kind of thing, sort of public music, that I've been thinking of for a while. And I really was waiting for the recording to come out to make, an effort to do that. But, Los Angeles is, like ground zero for COVID right now. And everything is running with a skeleton crew. It's really kind of a disaster. I don't know what it's like where you live, but the vibe is not super great. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah, and I think it's raging everywhere. I think it's pretty common all over the place. So yeah, I think it's going to take a while. Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but you're the one living your life. Who do you think you are?
I'm just a person, in the world who tries to contribute on a, daily basis to spread, light. And I want to spread positivity, and, I have to engender that in myself to be able to, you can't give out what you don't have. So I work on that. I just want to, my old friend in Boston, when I was in music school, said, I'm not a human being, I'm a human becoming. And I think about that often. I just want to be helpful, really.
Right on. Hey, man, thank you for taking some time out. Thank you for the music. It's been great to talk with you. Good luck with the album and getting back on the live stage.
Thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in California, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Michael for his time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.